Ms. Srilata Shankar Garu, HR L&D Head, Independent Consultant. Please give a big round of applause. Next, I would like to invite Richraj Garu, Global Head and Talent Acquisition Delivery. Please come on to the dais. Next, I would like to invite Sai Suprata Shankar Garu, Manager Talent Acquisition. Please come on to the dais. Next, I would like to invite Akhilesh Suringaru, Director. Please come on to the dais.
This is Srilata Shankar. I'm an HR and L&D leader. I'm not an independent consultant. I don't know why it's mentioned over there. I was an independent consultant some years back. I also teach HR in management colleges. For the last 15 years I've been teaching. I've started with IIPM, worked with various other colleges. I also conduct soft skill workshops for engineering management colleges and corporate companies. I am a content writer as well. For the content writing part, it's not a profession, so to speak. I do it for friends and family, as and when they want me to write. I've been writing poetry for the last 6 years. I've written about 41 poems. I have my own blog. I recently, when I say recently, it's September 2023, I started a podcast, my own podcast, titled Leadership Talks, where I have interviewed about 14 guests. Madhvi, who was the earlier moderator, was one of my guests. Thank you, Madhvi. I collaborate with my startup TV, and we have been successful so far. I had the good fortune of interviewing Mr. M. Sargaru, K. Srinivas, to the ones who are in HR. He runs a company called The Strategist, and we spoke on Atman Ramayan, which was huge viewership. I think we had about 1700 viewership. Yes, we haven't touched the 1 million, but I'm sure we will touch soon. I hope to touch 100 episodes soon. I have also written a chapter for a management book called Futuristic Trends, and my chapter is HR Challenges in a Globalized Economy, which is already published. Apart from this, I have a creative side to me. I do tangible painting, block printing, tie and dye, and pottery. I have an adventure side to me as well. I've done bungee jumping, paragliding, ziplining, and Tarzan swing. Hope to do a lot more in life. Thank you so much. Welcome Akhilesh, Bridge, and Supraja for this panel discussion. And Akhilesh and Bridge and Supraja, if you can quickly just introduce yourselves.
So I'll go first. Hi everyone. So I have been into HR for almost like 28 years plus, having led the HR across multiple domains, industry verticals. 2020 onwards, I decided to turn entrepreneur, and I said, okay, I test myself in my entrepreneurship skills. So it's been 4 years. I have been into consulting and advisory. We just recently started off with cybersecurity solutions also as part of the venture, and currently navigating the entrepreneurial journey, and it's a very dynamic business landscape. A lot of learnings outside of HR, so that's about me.
Hello. I'm currently associated with Campus
You'll have to put the mic a little closer.
Still, okay. Fine. So, mine is a different story altogether. I've been worked by cement industry for quite some time, and then I got into IT as a functional specialist, trying to spec requirements for a software, for ERP software. And I was in the process of development, implementation, testing, all through. And for some reason, I moved to talent acquisition from last 20-25 years. Initially, I started with US staffing. I'm an entrepreneur by myself. I've been running, a couple of companies. And lately, from last 10 years, I for some reason I found that entrepreneurship is little too risky and difficult and very challenging. So I merged my company, moved to capacity. From the last 10 years, I'm taking care of the talent acquisition globally for campus. That's all.
Supraja.
Good evening all. This is Supraja and I come with Good evening all. This is Supraja. I come with 15 years of experience in HR and TA. Out of passion, I moved to TA and I started my career with a semicon company, and I worked with few semicon companies in Hyderabad, and then I also had the experience working with few product companies. And now I'm working with a company called Genzion, which is into IT services. We primarily cater IT services for healthcare industries and retail. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Akhilesh, Rich, and Supraja for this panel discussion, being panelists. And thank you, the Global HR Convention, Lakshmi Chanaja and Rohit for hosting this event and asking us to be the panelists, asking me to be the moderator for this discussion. Our topic for today is leadership from within or outside. Let's probe into what is leadership and what is the meaning of within and outside. Akhilesh, let me start with you. What is your opinion or definition of leadership? And how is it formed, or has it still kind of getting transformed?
So, well, leadership is a very, very vast area, and as far as I look at it, in the last 28 years across my career with corporate, which I traversed, and leadership has definitely evolved. And as we stand today here, we know the complete workplace landscape has changed. Nobody has heard about remote working, hybrid working. So it is completely, the pyramid has shifted. The complete, the landscape of leadership also has shifted. The way we manage things, earlier it was a top-down approach. People used to give tasks and manage and just follow. Over a period of time, I have worked with leaders, I've seen them to be very directive. They just want to get the things done. Today it is very different, it is collaborative, it is very, very people-centered. Leadership is now about influencing and inspiring the people and the organizations that they are working. Not only that, my experience of my previous organizations, having worked with other leaders, I have realized that while I have been the partner to them driving the HR agenda, my role was also evolved as part to be as a coach or a mentor at times when I see the decision makings are not very aligned with the business goals or the requirements today. Having said that, it is not about influencing and inspiring at all at the moment. It is also about inspiring and influencing the emotions and the thoughts of the people. And to do that, it is all about self-leadership. It comes back to you. So you as a leader have to look within. Are you having those leadership skills to influence and inspire others? I'm here talking about mindful leadership or empathetic leadership that we speak about, and everybody here is from HR community knows about it. But when I've seen that in corporate, I see that definitely the leadership skills and leadership as a whole has evolved. There are leaders in organizations who are very popular because of this approach, but there are leaders who are still holding on to that positional authority and still look at the things from that lens. So it becomes very difficult for them. And we are seeing in organizations across, there are issues, people are handling it. But ultimately it boils down to that leadership piece. As to how are we creating that organization or the workplace. Today the landscape, the talent is living in the world of choice. And we can't have leadership driven from a top-down approach or without involving them. So definitely it has evolved, and the leaders are also evolving themselves. There is no choice for them. And yes, that's how I look at it in terms of how the overall evolution of leadership stays.
Sure. You mentioned inspire and influence a couple of times. What I will definitely say is for a leader is beyond what he just said is to aspire. Somebody should be, you should have that aspiration to inspire others. So when even if you are able to inspire 1 or 2 people to start with, that's a success story for you. Because the minute people look up to you and say, hey, this is what I want to do, like her or like him, and that's a huge success, and from there on you can build on. I also believe in one mantra that is, has become a mantra for me. One is aspire to inspire. Second is like adding to what Akhilesh mentioned is, we've all heard of adapt. You have to adapt yourselves to the environment, to the people, blah, blah, blah. I will add one more adjective. I will say adapt and adopt. That becomes very, very crucial. When you learn to adapt and adopt, it becomes very easy for life. Rich, moving on to you. What leadership skills do you find most useful?
Major skill that you should have. Is it? Okay. Okay. So basically, we need to have the relation between the leaders and the people who are working with them. That is one of the major tasks that a leader has. The second thing is you need to give a clear communication. What are your goals? What is the mission of the company? And how we as a team are going to take it forward. Then the major, and with respect to the topic today, delegation of work. When you can delegate the work to your team and make them do the right tasks, then you have, as a leader, you have better chance to do high risk, accomplishment. So I think delegation is one major skill what a leader should have. That's how with respect to today's topic, that's how you build leaders within. Okay, when I'm talking about leader, it could be a team lead or a manager or any other lead. Unless and until you don't keep or train your team to on an occasion to take up the position of a leader, that would be a little different task. So when we have people who can step up and take things forward, is one quality that a leader should have.
I agree with what you mentioned, Bridge. It is not important to just say, hey, you are doing well or you need to kind of scale up. What is more important for you as a leader to ensure that the ones who are not performing well to ask them to scale up, or not ask, to help them scale up, I'm sorry. It's not ask, but help them scale up. I'll give you a small little example over here. One of the earlier companies that I worked with, this boy called Vishwanath, he was my team member and his attitude was fantastic. He never said no to work. He never said, no, I will go back at home at 6:30. In fact, his wife used to work in the same department, HR department, but he was in the core HR in my team, and his wife, I think, is called Lavanya. She was also my team member, but she was dotted line reporting. She was in the recruitment department. And he had a dotted line reporting to one of the BU units. So everybody wanted me to sack him, as in in 1 month's time. So what I did was held him. What he was doing was he had a truckload of work pending always. So he was he was part of employee relations, and he was handling calls from, in Bangalore we had 3 other offices, or rather 4 other offices. So he was constantly getting a lot of calls. And each call of us was 45-50 minutes, nothing of personal, all official calls. So first thing I told him is, shorten your calls, cut short your calls. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Ask him what the situation is, what the problem is, and tell them that it will take 48 hours or 72 hours and get back to them if there's a lack of time. So he turned around and said, ma'am, I'm not going to be rude by saying, I need to cut the call short. I said, people will appreciate for your professionalism. Second thing what I did is I made him do a SWOT analysis. I said, forget the OT part, do the SW part. So wherein I helped him understand what are his strengths and what are the developmental areas and where he should develop. The third thing that I asked him to do is things to do. I do it even today. As soon as I come into work every day, I write the things to do. And as and when I'm finishing off the work, I tick it off. So after 2 days, I still had Vishwa having truckload of work. I said, what went wrong? So he did not know how to prioritize. So I helped him prioritizing what is the most important work, what's the medium level of importance, and what's the least importance. Least importance can move to the next day. So he turned it on, and this boy was not a kid. He was about 10 years experience, 31-year-old. So he turned around and said, next day I'm going to have 20 activities to do, and I still will have a meeting, ad hoc reports. I said, hey, yes, you'll have all of that. How do I manage? I said, that's where the smartness of work and juggle how you can finish the work. So these kind of small help or hand-holding that you will have to do for your teams to be successful. And I'm sure you will all agree, including panelists, saying that as long as your teams are successful, you're successful. So moving on to you, Supraja, is what or why you should lead from outside in instead of inside out. What do you understand by that, and how do you wish to go about it?
I would like to take this question as a TA leader, and I would like to answer from a TA perspective. Initially or traditionally, organizations used to hire candidates out of inside-out decision making. I would like to give an example here. For example, I need to hire an AI engineer. So I bring AI engineer respective to the roles and responsibilities that are mentioned as a predefined role. I bring the AI engineer. Instead, bringing engineer who has a problem-solving skill or who have the ability to learn new technologies will definitely change the whole scenario. So this kind of leadership decision making in hiring will definitely make a difference, and it not only helps in rendering to the current hiring needs, but also it fosters to the emerging needs in the market. So this is my take in inside out or outside in decision making, especially in hiring.
Sure.
Bringing in candidates.
Yeah, thanks. Akhilesh, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you look at getting leadership in terms of the current skills that we are looking at from an organization point of view, we also have to look in terms of, do we have those skills internally? Do we have the leaders displaying those behaviors and skills internally? And who are those leaders? And how can we develop more such leaders in organizations? So it actually builds from the entire philosophy that the organization ties up in terms of how it wants to drive the entire business, drive the commercial outcomes, and in that process, what kind of leadership capabilities they want to build, they want to get from outside, or rather create internally. So that is very important, and in today's time, it makes all the more important for the talent acquisition team to look at these skills. Are these skills baked into the entire hiring, the competencies that they look at while they are aligning the business goals or the leadership goals or the leadership competencies? I know many organizations really look at the competency scale and assess them. But it also goes a long way in terms of when you check on the leadership capabilities of the previous organizations where they have headed. How are we looking at the entire leadership behavior that they drive? It's not about the revenue, it's also about building the people and the capability internally.
Sure. Rich, your next question is, what's the biggest risk you took and why?
Yeah, I think in HR recruitment, every day is a risk, every class is a risk. From beginning and plan.
I would like your answers not to be specific to TA, but as leaders.
Yeah, as leaders, I think the risk what we have taken recently is with a client where we had to hire around 30 talents. So instead of doing it internally, we took a risk of outsourcing the particular requirement, and we got a success where even the outer help what we get is around 70% we could close with internal, 30% external, 70%. That risk factor what I have taken to make sure that just not depend on internal team, but also take help from the outer. That is really important.
Thank you. Akhilesh, what would you classify as the most defining leadership trait?
Oh, well,
I think this is a pretty interesting question.
I would like to keep it very simple. Be authentic. Be authentic.
Authentic.
Genuine. Okay. Listen to ideas. Stand with the team. Take bold decisions. Give credit generously. And
Celebrate success.
celebrate success. These are simple things everybody can do. So that's it. I mean, it's not a rocket science, but people have to come out of their, as I said, authoritative positions they hold on to. So these are things I feel that are very important traits that one should. Today, leadership has to be there with the teams. They have to be invested. As Rich said, we have to build the teams. Right? And so how do we build teams? You have to stand with them. You have to be invested in them. Earlier it was delegation and get the work done, follow up, have work at the end of the day.
Like what I did for Vishwan.
Yes.
Help them succeed, help them scale.
Yes.
I think I'll add to what Akhilesh mentioned is, it's easy to be a manager. I don't think you should be just a manager, you should be a leader. And the defining the line between a manager and a leader is, manager is saying, hey, you need to do XYZ things. Have you done it? When are you going to finish it? When, follow up. Not micromanagement necessarily, but follow up and ensure the work is done. Micromanagement is definitely no. But what defines or what makes you a leader is to help, like I said, handhold what I did with Vishwanath. And during the COVID times, I think we all went through really rough times thanks to China. Blame it on China indeed. We became resilient. But has the resilience resonated with teams, and what have we done with teams? That's a more essential question. So resilience is not just saying, in my opinion, in my words, resilience is not just saying, hey, if there is a problem, I can face it. But resilience in how you're shaping your teams. Another thing, what I will definitely say from my own experiences as a leader, when your team members going through some crisis, physical, emotional, family, please do not say, ask or say, what is the work pending or what work is pending. As I'm quoting this out of personal experience. My mother had a bronchial asthma attack, and she had gone to my cousin's house, and my cousin had called up and said, hey, rush her to the hospital, rush her to Medicity Hospital, then near Secretariat. And my super manager, he knew every word of what I was talking because his cabin was somewhere about 2 feet away. And I was speaking to my brother-in-law. I said, Jayant, mummy's not well. He was working in Abbotts, I was working in Hyderabad. So I said, I'm on my way. He said, don't worry, I'm there. I'll be there in 5 minutes. So when I called up, I don't want to take her name, let's call her Anita. When I called up Anita on a Friday, this happened on Thursday evening. Friday morning when I called up and tell her that I'm not going to come into work, mom is hospitalized and she's in the ICU. She was not hospitalized for a small little cut. She was in the ICU. And the first thing she asked me is there any work pending? I wanted to give her a tight slap. So had she asked me, had she told me, saying, hey, don't worry, nothing is going to break or disaster is not going to happen, I will manage, take care of your family. That would have been a huge help for me, just the words. So as managers, as leaders, I think we should be cognizant and sensitive to the team member, irrespective of whether he or she is going through an emotional problem, physical problem, whatever. The second thing what I would add to what these people said is your approachability. The minute you become approachable, the wall is broken. So when I enter an organization or move into another team, the first thing I tell them is, whatever designation I hold is on paper, you and me are friends. So there I break the wall. And yes, I've heard mother-in-law story, boyfriend stories, girlfriend story. So when they come and speak to me, I just switch off. But I switch off mentally, but I'm physically, yes, don't worry, things will happen and things like that. So what I do is the approachability factor is kicked in. And they say, hey, I can speak to Srilata about anything. So another thing what I'm sure you'll resonate with me is, as HR people, as leaders, start learning how to read people's mind. Learn the psyche of people. So when you're able to do that, it will take you time if you're not there already. When you do that, you understand the person's psyche, so you know how to work with them. So this lady out there in black, she's smiling away, nodding. So what happens is, again I'm quoting out of example, I'll take another 30 seconds. When I was working with the engineering group, so I used to take my colleagues of various other departments to a coffee and tea in the same pantry area and speak about the moon and the sun and irrelevant things, Bahubali and what have you. So when they're speaking to me, I realize and I tell the manager that this person is going to leave in 2 months' time. So the manager has always turned around and said, what rubbish are you talking? He's my star team member, he will not leave. And 2 months later, exactly, they come and say, Srilata, you're right. So these are some pointers for you to pick up and bridge the gap and work on that team member. So I think these are some steps which can be a learning point for all of us. Supraja, your next question is, what are the most important decisions you have made as a leader? And I don't want you to talk as a TA person, but as a leader.
More than decision, I would rather consider them as approach. I do on a daily basis. Number one is setting your goals and communicating your intent of purpose to the team. Clear communication definitely, works always, right? For example, if I say something to my daughter, I have a teen daughter by the way. So if I say something to my daughter to do some task without any clear communication, if I don't communicate my intent to do the task, she may ask me why mama, why should I do it? So if I communicate to her with my intent and what is that I'm going to achieve from that or she going to achieve from that, if there is a clear communication, if there is a clear purpose of intent, then she will definitely do the task. The same goes with the team too. So if there is a clear communication between you and your team, definitely the team will align with you. Without the clear communication, it is impossible to communicate anything, impossible to achieve anything. So number two is building and developing the teams. In our organization, we do a talent review every quarter to understand where the team is, where the individual is, what is that individual has achieved in the last quarter, and what is that they are willing to achieve in the next quarter. So this also definitely helps on their requirement on talent needs, and what is that they are aspiring as an individual for the next quarter, their learning needs. So talent review is one approach we do to build and nurture the teams. Number 3 would be tough decisions. So as a leader, day in, day out, we make tough decisions. So one thing we always keep in mind when we are making a tough decision is empathy, integrity, and resilience. This is my approach.
Sure. You rightly touched upon communication. Communication becomes extremely pivotal. You also spoke about top-down effect. It's there till date, and top-down effect is going to be there till we die, or till beyond that as well. Because that's the approach one should have, and not bottom to top. What I will also add is communication with clarity, like you just mentioned. Communicating with specific goals. That gives the team member a sense of direction. Celebrate his success, even if it's small, his or her success. I don't want people to say gender biased. So his or her success. And also say the small things, goad them, cajole them, coax them. Be a stern mother when you have to. Be a matron when you have to. These are some pointers which I think we all should imbibe. You know, it's not enough to say, you haven't met your target, you haven't done the job. Why has he not done the job? Can I coax him and cajole him to do a better job? I think this is even more important than just ensuring that they have met the target, yes or no. The other thing that you spoke about, Supraja, is in terms of the second point that you mentioned was
Bring the teams with talent reviews.
yeah,
Regular talent reviews.
apart from that, you also mentioned something else.
Making tough decisions.
Decision making.
Timely decisions.
Yeah, decision making is a crucial aspect for each leader. So how are you going to be a decisive manager? Now, what is decision making? Decision making is it's going to be biased, unbiased. And as leaders, I always say this, ethical and unethical is a very thin line. How do you tread on it? Akhilesh, do you want to add to that? Being ethical and unethical is as thin as our one tiny aspect of our hair. How do you tread on it? And being biased. For example, I may like Madhvi, who's my team member, but am I being biased to her in terms of her? That is the point.
Right. So you spoke about ethics and integrity. It is absolutely pivotal in today's time. It was earlier also, but all the more, if you are a leader, you have to be high on ethics and integrity. Should be no compromise on that.
Absolutely.
And that is definitely one trait that you have to follow as a leader. And secondly, as Supraja said, build the teams, allow them to take decisions. You know,
Empower teams, and that's very important.
Also, you know, we used to have a discussion. So the first question my global head of operations asked me as heading a healthcare vertical. And he said, okay, so you are from HR, so the entire ESAT score is very low. So what are you going to do about it as an HR? So I asked him, you know, on a Monday, you're asking this question. And, you know, so when employees go to a temple on Sunday, they feel happy about it. Nobody's paying them. But they come to office on Monday being paid, but still they are not happy. So what is happening here? So when I questioned that back to him, it opened up the entire box, Pandora's box, you can say, in terms of the way the managerial leadership is being executed, the way the behaviors are on the floor, the way the teams are led. It took the entire scheme of things to open up to discussion. So the point here is, you know, the ethics and integrity are very, as you said, it's very thin line. And I've seen leaders, to very senior leaders, to ensure that the commercials and revenues are realized, they compromise on integrity. While I've signed a contract, I might not be supposed to doing that because somebody has trusted me from the US and they are trusting me for their process to be operated out of India. Okay, but if I see that there's an opportunity, if I tweak a little bit of data, I'll be actually getting an incentive which I've signed for, which runs into millions. That I've seen that happening. So, as an HR, it is actually for HR leaders to take up these matters and issues and confront. They should be, while we say that, okay, we should be inspiring individuals, but there should be also a purpose that should be built. And HR needs to, and that's where the action is to be created by the HR leaders. They are supposed to do that because the leadership capability in HR has to also move up the ladder. They have to question integrity and ethical issues within the organization. I heard the chief guest talk about integrity and ethics. I heard Murli sir also speak about ethics and ethical practices, which is going to take center stage. But it is a reality in today's time. And as HR leaders, when you take up these questions to the CEOs, it is very uncomfortable them to answer. Because they are supposed to reward the superstars who are giving them revenues, even though it is unethical.
Right.
But that's where we have to put the line.
Yeah. I spoke at one event and this question had come up, but I would ask Supraja and Bridge to speak about before I continue. No, what is about, I wanted to throw light on ethics and analytics and the aspect of how a leader can develop teams, especially the ethics and analytical.
Anyway,
Request you to keep your answer short, please.
Yeah, okay. So having the basic thing is have a safety culture developed in the company that is more ethical to things happen, and also having incentivize just to make sure that the employees are comfortable with a lot of programs that we take this thing, and also if you talk about teamwork, again how a team should be built and what kind of values that the team should have. These are a few things what we can differentiate with
Supraja?
Ethics is something which can be talked about throughout, right? It's not only leadership. As a human, we need to have ethics.
So specifically about leaders.
Yeah. Yes, as a person, we need to have ethics, and definitely leaders should have ethical leadership. So definitely it is needed to build the teams or nurture the teams. So because as a leader, you stand out and people look up to you.
So the example that I was speaking about, yesterday I was speaking at the EFSI and Akhilesh, to what you just mentioned, there's one question that this gentleman asked, and I think he comes from the manufacturing background. So he asked me, Akhilesh, is since I'm in the manufacturing sector, I'm in the sales, I know 10 things that I need to do, which is supposed to be done as per norms. But I'm compromising. At the outset, the customer's happy. The company's happy because they're making profits, and I met the deadlines. But how much time do I have? 5 minutes? All right, I'll wind up in 5 minutes. So what do? I have compromised. So that's a very, very good answer. But the company's made profits, customers happy, the timelines are met, but he's compromised.
So, it's all about doing the right things. Leadership is about that. Okay.
But he's compromised, right?
Yeah, because it's flowing from the top. So that is how it is.
I beg to differ. It's not just question of flowing from the top, but it's question of what you're doing at that particular moment. What is right for you? So I'm given to understand that my time is up. I'll wind up in the next 3-4 minutes. I have 4 questions for each, but I couldn't finish that. The third question for you, Bridge, is what brought you, how do you motivate employees to do their best and to sustain business and to ensure that there are no compromises in that aspect? Also to be compassionate as peer and your superior, being a superior. Short answers, I think we've run out of time.
I think you define your values and mission, and the other thing to be transparent with your team, and also ask for feedbacks from the team. Basically, that gives a lot of scope of making a lot of corrections or fine-tuning the process, and also prioritize continuous learning that makes your team well equipped with latest skills, upskill them or educate them with the soft skills that gives a lot of help for the team and to the organization to move forward.
Sure, thank you. Supraja?
Same question?
All right, I think probably this positive time can ask me that question. What brought you to this point in your career? Sorry, what brought you to this point in your career? What determined you to be a leader?
Okay. Before this, I would like to add one more point to the previous question too. If I'm compromised in making a hiring decision, in bringing people with, wrong people into the organization, so you all know what happens, right? So definitely,
State the question I asked.
Yes.
You're completely running out of time, so if you can just answer the question.
Sure. I think it's my deep-seated passion which brought me into this field, TA. I started as an HR ops person and then I got into TA because I understood how people can affect the organization's success, how people play a pivotal role, how hiring can play a pivotal role in organization success. So I think that that again, targeted me to bring me into TA. So I started as an HR person and then I got into TA. Now I'm continuing here as a TA person, and I want to continue and as a TA person and impact the organization.
Thank you. Akhilesh, what's the most important leadership lesson you've learned and how has it proven valuable? Proven invaluable.
Just be honest, I own candor, be ethical, I own integrity, build teams, ensure that every day you go and meet at least one people every day.
The connection, the communication, also ensure that your teams are constantly upskilling, reskilling. Your last thoughts, each one of you, one sentence. What is leadership for you?
So for me, it's majorly about ethics and integrity, doing the things, doing the right things.
Rich?
I agree with them. Basically, it is ethics that matters a lot, and upskilling your team. This would be one of the best things, or having a positive culture within the organization teams.
Okay, Supraja?
Leadership for me is integrity, resilience, and empathy.
I will add walk the talk and walk that extra mile. Those things are defining for you as a leader. Do I have 2 minutes or 3 minutes? Can we take 2 audience questions? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Akhilesh, Bridge, and Supraja for being the panelists. And thank you, it was wonderful moderating. Thank you, Rohit and Lakshmi Shailaja for hosting us. Thank you.
Thank you.